News dump. Mac, we have some news about the Batman 2. Reports say that Clayface will be in the movie.
So forgive my ignorance here.
Yes.
I don't find Clayface at all intriguing. I don't know anything about his backstory other than that he used to be a human.
So there's several Clayfaces, but go ahead.
I'm assuming he used to be human like most of these guys.
Yeah.
I just don't get the appeal of like a big, gloopy, muddy type of character, especially in that world that Reeves built.
So that is what people are saying is, you have this movie franchise now that is grounded in reality as much as they possibly can be with the billionaire dressing as a bat. And how do you introduce this big pile of mud?
Right.
So have you seen any of the Clayface episodes in Batman the Animated Series?
I obviously have. I don't recall a single thing about him.
Okay, so Matt Hagen in that show is an actor who gets into a terrible car accident, and then he can't get work because of his disfigured face.
Okay.
And then he finds this cream that makes him beautiful again, makes him look young again. You can get into Hollywood's obsession with beauty and with youth.
Sure.
And because he uses too much of this face cream, it turns him into this monster.
Yeah, so that is pretty good. That's a good backstory. That's a good ground for someone being a little sympathetic even as a villain. I don't know, especially with where we left off with the Batman and the post credit and whatnot. You're gonna have to spend a lot of time, I think, building up Clayface for us to sort of buy into that. And even then, to me, like even if you do that well, that's still a B level villain, maybe C level. I don't really know how it plays out.
But you can make him an A level if you do it right. And
I don't know
in Reeves, though.
Again, that's my ignorance coming into play here. I don't know if he can get to that A level. And for me, I don't know how many of these Reeves Batman movies we're going to get. I don't really want to deal with B level villains.
That's a good point. If we have 3, do we want to use a full movie on Clayface?
Right.
Because if you're using him, you need to tell a long enough story for his background to use up too much of the time.
Wouldn't you rather, and again, maybe we'll get 4 movies, but in my mind, and I talk about this all the time, ever since Infinity War happened, wouldn't you rather have a movie where Batman loses and then there's a redemption arc in the 3rd movie? So say the Joker wins in the 2nd movie?
I don't need that with every movie franchise, but what you do make a good point, though, is that do you want to waste a movie here? Because if you're using Clayface, it's going to be more of a horror movie, much like the first one was like 7. This one might, borrow more horror elements. And if you're going to do a horror Batman movie, wouldn't you rather use Scarecrow and Mad Hatter and characters like that?
Right. I agree with that. And then that probably gets into the realm, well, I don't want to use all the same villains that Nolan used, which I understand. But
that's why they might lean Mad Hatter over Scarecrow.
But they also have the opportunity to use Joker in 2 movies, which they never got with Nolan because Heath Ledger died.
But also after seeing that Joker, I don't even want him back.
I
know that you have to, but I don't want
I do understand that point. However, that dude, I forget his name. He was in Eternals. He was also amazing in Banshees of Inisherin.
I think his name is Irish guy, right?
Yeah, Irish guy number 2. In fact, I think he's a really good actor. So I will give him a chance as Joker. To me, I would just rather, we talk about how Joker is Batman's, A1 villain, tit for tat, mano y mano, and we've never seen it last more than a 2-hour story, So I'd rather get 5 hours of Batman versus Joker as opposed to 2.
And then if you're going with the Matt Hagen acting route from the animated series, I would also like to see them borrow something else from the animated series. And that would be from the episode Beware the Gray Ghost, where you see Bruce Wayne fanboying over pretty much what is a fictionalized Batman in his universe. And in that show, the Gray Ghost was voiced by Adam West. You could really play around with that in this movie as well. Maybe you have George Clooney.
Yeah, so I guess the other side is if you're going to save the Joker, and Clayface is going to be a big villain in this. Of course, we're also getting that Penguin show, so we'll see how that plays in it. Yeah. If we're going to do Clayface as the primary villain, I want like 2 or 3 other like decent villains involved in the whole thing.
Maybe just call it Batman Goes Hollywood. And it's just him with all of his acting characters.
Yeah.
News dump. Speaking of Batman, we got our first look at Lady Gaga's Harley Quinn.
Yep, obviously for upcoming Joker 2 Folie D. I gotta admit, as much, I was so out on this movie once Gaga was announced. I'm like, I'm in. I'm not even really gonna pretend anything they release is gonna bother me, because I know it's gonna probably look not great.
Yes,
for what I'm looking for. But the fact that Gaga's in it and is a musical is just going to keep bringing me back. So I can't pretend anything they're going to show me is going to bother me.
Yeah, the photo looks a little plain Jane, but also that's the aesthetic of the movie. So
right. So it's going to be one of those things where I won't be like super excited about this movie until like the week of the movie, and then I'm going to be like, I'm fucking stoked for this movie.
News dump. James Gunn revealed that Rocket is the secret protagonist of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, and before you say anything, he then followed up on Twitter saying, I meant for all 3 movies.
And once again, him saying it and him clarifying is really bizarre, because number one, he obviously has been a protagonist in the first 2.
I was going to say, duh.
Yeah, and then number 2, from the outset, when they announced Guardians 3, he was pretty much told, we were pretty much told that his backstory was going to be involved here. So he is a main protagonist. So I don't know what James Gunn is setting up here. I don't know why he went out of his way to say this. It's really bizarre. Like, to me, he's obviously setting up the audience for something. That's probably a Rocket death, but I felt like we knew that anyways also. So to me, it just strikes me as a really bizarre comment.
Especially after the first 2 movies and what we've gotten so far in the Avengers movies, he's still the character that has some more layers to him for us to learn. So he would be the protagonist of this movie. Peter Quill, he hasn't run his course, but we know all that we need to know about Peter. Right.
Like, I just keep coming back to, like, James Gunn's not just saying this for no reason. Like, there's got to be something here why he went out of his way to say it, and I just can't quite pinpoint it yet.
Also, not in the dump here, but Iger spoke. Bob Iger, of course. I know him personally. That's why I call him by his last name. Iggy is what
Bobby,
I call him. Yeah, we're on a hockey team together. He made the point of saying, like, hey, moving forward in the MCU, we probably don't need trilogies or 4 movies for a character. We can probably do 1 and then team them up, because it seems like Ant-Man, Thor 4, he's not thrilled with the returns.
Sure.
So he wants them to really move on to new characters.
Yeah, you can use these characters like you used Iron Man in other movies. He can just pop up and be a supporting in someone's first or second movie instead of making a 4th Thor movie.
Yeah, so money. People want money.
Money,
News
please.
Dumps. Scott Pilgrim anime series is coming to Netflix, produced by Edgar Wright and starring everyone from the movie.
Yeah, they have all the original voice actors, including Kieran Culkin. I just love that little tidbit that he was. I always forget that he's in that movie. Chris Evans is back. Everyone that was in that first movie, Brie Larson, Mary Elizabeth Winstead, they're all coming back to voice those characters for an animated series on Netflix. To me, so I never knew what Scott Pilgrim was until that movie came out. And the more I have learned about it, the more I feel like it needs the animated treatment. So I think this could be truly great, especially with Edgar Wright behind it.
Let me ask you a question here. From a past movie, is there another one that you would like to see this happen with? Like, you get an animated version with the complete cast.
Ooh, that is a good question. I'm trying to think of movies.
While you think, I'll go ahead and throw one out there.
Okay.
So we got a comic series a couple years ago, Batman 89.
Yep.
Which is a continuation starting after Batman Returns, where you then get the story of Marlon Wayans as Robin, Billy D. Williams as Two-Face. And I think that would have been a cool way to continue that story. Maybe not even needing to bring Keaton back as a live-action Batman, but instead in animated form.
Okay. I was thinking more of a movie that we got live action that would probably be improved upon if you went animated. That's
continuation of story.
Sure. Yeah. Once you explained your answer, that makes more sense. That's a hard question. I'd have to think about that more. I'm not sure.
I'm going to put you on the spot. Give me an answer.
To me,
Waterworld. Max said Waterworld.
Well, I'm thinking like Spawn way back when. Like,
That's not bad.
I love that live action movie, even though it wasn't that great. And I do think we were deserving of another live action Spawn. But I also think you could do a cool animated version.
That's a great answer. I actually really like that, because one of the biggest issues with Spawn is how it looked.
Right. Right.
And if you animate that now, that would look pretty good. Actually, you know what was pretty good? And it wasn't the same voice actors, but it was close, was the Men in Black animated series that came after, I think, MIB 2 or maybe after the first one. It was on the CW.
Yeah, it was like Saturday morning television type thing. Yeah.
I like that, though. But good for Scott Pilgrim. Also, show and tell. Good job with that book, Goo. News dump. We got a final trailer for Barry.
We got a first trailer.
Season. Was it? Well, but probably the final one as well. We're not getting another one.
Probably. Yeah,
first and final. Get off my ass, bro.
Ass.
Looks pretty good.
We ain't finger popping each other's assholes. I got a real love-hate relationship with Barry because I think the show is honestly a bit overrated. I felt like season 3.
Much like you are.
I felt like season 3. I wasn't let down by it, but it wasn't as strong as season 2. And I don't know what they're going to do in season 4 to bring it back to season 2 levels. I loved season 2. Loved it. The way it concluded, everything about it. Plus NoHo Hank was unbelievable. It does seem like we're going to get more NoHo Hank here.
Yes. But
Barry's in prison, and most likely what's going to happen is NoHo Hank will break him out, right? That's my guess.
Yeah.
It just seems like also, I also hate Sally. One of my least favorite television characters ever. She's super annoying. I don't know. I'm just a little lower on Barry than most.
The trailer also looked so serious until they showed NoHo Hank.
Yes. Yeah. It's funny. NoHo Hank, I don't think has gotten enough screen time. Sally gets way too much screen time.
April 16th. News dump. Mac, we got some huge news, and that is we are getting a Last Ronin TMNT video game coming out, possibly in 3 years, third-person action RPG, AAA, which means mid-size publisher, video game, and it will be awesome.
Yeah, I never heard of this comic, this book, until maybe a year or two ago, whenever it started getting a little more popular. And for those of you that were ignorant like me, the premise of this TMNT story, 4 turtles have been killed off. There is one remaining turtle, and the one remaining turtle utilizes all 4 weapons that the turtles have. And you don't know until the end of the first book who the remaining turtle is. So it's not only is he fighting crime, killing people, whatever, but it's also a mystery for the reader trying to figure out who it is. Now, since it's been out for a few years, everyone knows who it is now. I won't spoil it for you if you don't know, but the idea of that in a video game sounds amazing.
Yeah, it's darker, grittier. I'm, very curious what animation style they're going to use with it. And, it's always been an issue in the video games of like, which turtle do you use? Which set of weapons do you use? Do you want to go with the vanilla answer of Leonardo using the swords? Do you want the reach?
That's the reasonable answer.
Shut up. Do you want the reach of Donatello? Do you want the power of Raphael? Do you want the speed of Michelangelo? Now, there's no choice. It's one turtle, and he's got all 4 sets of weapons.
And as, kid-oriented as the turtles have always been marketed, I mean, their leader has dual katanas. So
we've always pointed that out. Cut people's heads off.
I want to chop some people up, so give me an R-rated version of the turtles.
Yes, and this is Dark Knight, the comic. Dark Knight Returns, level of violence, gore, everything else. Still got April O'Neil, got some other characters chomping around. It's an older turtle who has a little more of like the Wolverine healing power to him as well. It's a good book. Go and check it out. Go and buy it.
Go do it.
Give them money.
Do it.
TMNT Assange. Let's keep it going. News dump. John Wick 5 is now a possibility.
Yeah, I guess so. Everything I said about Barry also to John Wick. I'm just lower on it.
Okay. So the director of it, I believe his name is Stahelski. That's definitely his name. I don't believe it. That's his name. But Stahelski made the point of saying, like, maybe in 10 years we can readdress these characters and see what's going on there.
That's better. I like
that.
But
Lionsgate is like, we like money. Let's figure this out.
I guess so. I don't know. I'm not excited for that.
Yeah, Keanu Reeves said, never say never, but the only way that he would do it is if Stahelski is still the director, which I think that's really the only way that you can do it. He's been the director of all 4. That's why it's such a clarity of vision through all 4 movies. But I also would like a little bit of a break with him because much like I spoke with DJ Bean about in our award-winning John Wick 4 podcast, the action in it has gotten a little samesies. And
you can only kill people in so many ways.
Figure out a new way to kill people.
Yeah, that's obviously part of it. This, you know, if they just take a little bit of a gap here, they also have an opportunity to build out the world a little bit more with Ballerina, whatever, and maybe those all come back together in John Wick 5.
Bring me Kane. Bring me Akira. Bring me all these characters. They built out a really nice world in John Wick 4. You can use those characters again.
There you go.
Give John a little break. Let Keanu rest. News dump. April movies bring May showers.
That's tears because I don't know what's coming out in May, but maybe nothing good. Goo, Dungeons and Dragons hits theaters this weekend. It's actually, I think it got some limited releases over the last couple of weeks because it's already got Rotten Tomato scores and has for a little bit. 89% from critics, 94% from audience. So it seems like this movie's fun.
Yes, I'm going to make a comparison here. I haven't seen the movie yet, but what it looks like to me in the trailers, Jumanji.
I could see that. Yep. Little more adult oriented, I think, but yeah, sort of maybe in the same vein. Yep.
Yes.
Yep. Some swashbuckling action. Goo, next week, I got to figure out if I can attend it or not, but we have the Mario screening. It comes out next week. You've seen Air already.
I have seen Air.
I do have another screening opportunity next week. That's also next weekend. Renfield, Goo, comes out the 14th of April. I'm getting a little worried that we've seen the fun moments in the trailer.
We'll talk about that in a second.
And then at the end of the month or second half of the month, the Power Rangers Netflix movie, which does not look good.
And speaking of not looking good, the Power Rangers movie news dump. We got a trailer for that sumbitch.
Yeah, I'm just annoyed that the Pink Ranger isn't involved and they have some fucking fake
But she
Pink
did
Ranger.
issue a statement about it.
Didn't they just not ask her?
No, she said that they asked her and she just said no. You know, it wasn't merely a money issue and maybe she just didn't want to wear spandex.
Oh, she said I never said no. Okay.
Yeah, she never said no, but she also never said yes.
Okay.
Which also to me sounds like no.
Yeah, but to me, she's the only draw they have right now. Now that Tommy R.I.P. is not there, you should be offering her more money than the other
Also,
one.
Jason in jail.
Yeah, Jason, really bad guy. Billy, no one gives a fuck about. Zach, no one gives a fuck about. Trini, dead. So Kimberly is your draw.
But also, it seems like Trini, they are going to use her death in real life as a death in the movie, and then the daughter of Trini needs to avenge.
Yeah, the real life daughter is playing Trini's daughter in this movie, so that'll be bizarre.
Yeah,
I'm gonna watch it. I just don't.
What is the deal with Rita's face?
Yeah, not great, not great.
But it also does feel like the kishy fun of the original show with that dumb face.
A little bit, a little bit.
Also, when they brought out the "It's Morphin' Time" with the Black Ranger and the Blue Ranger, I was like, I guess you couldn't get the green, red, or pink Ranger because those would be the draws. Right. Although you did get the second Red Ranger, right?
Yeah, Rocco, I think his name is.
Rocco, who looks like he spent a lot of time at the craft table.
Rocco and Jason were actually in cahoots, but Jason didn't rat on him. That's my
Rocky was still wearing a roll, or he was
Rocky,
still holding a roll. Yeah, in the scene, he hadn't put it down yet. He had a meatball on the other hand. But Kimberly also said, "None of your beeswax, so why I'm not in this movie. So buzz off.
Pay her. Pay the money's money.
Give her extra money.
Yes, please."
Also, did we see a Green Ranger in the trailer? We just don't know who's behind it.
Did maybe. So I do think it's a possibility that JDF shot some things for this movie, and
or maybe did they shoot something after with one of his kids to honor him?
Possibly, or maybe they shot something with the Green Ranger who never takes his mask off. I don't know.
And they just added old voice dubs from the show. Please don't do that.
Hey, we got AI.
Yeah, news dump. Like we were talking about, also in April, we got another trailer for Renfield.
I'm starting to lose steam for Renfield. If you catch my drift. I'm starting to have more questions than I have excitements for this film.
We did get more Cage, which I do like, and we got a lot more gore, and this really does show us what the movie is.
Yeah, and it seems like it's a Nicholas Hoult story, which makes sense. He's the titular character. I almost want more Cage, though, right? And
yeah, but this trailer gave us a bunch of Cage.
Yeah, but I think that's almost all the Cage we're going to get in the movie, too.
News dope. Also, speaking of April movies, Chris Pratt, who's been doing a ton of press, him, Charlie Day, Keegan-Michael Key, Jack Black, everybody from this movie. Chris Pratt said, get ready for a lot of Mario movies.
Yeah, and I think when we first learned that this movie was going to be about 90 minutes, we're like, oh, this is going to be like pretty good, but they're also not wasting stories here. They're saving stories. We're going to get probably at least 3 of these, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of stories you can tell in that universe. Like, obviously, the main Mario thing is saving Peach, but once you build out a couple villains, you can just have fun in that universe.
I also think this is going to be one of the highest grossing movies of all time. So what isn't being looked at is because it's 90 minutes, you can put it in a theater an extra 1 time in a day. I said that wrong, but you can put it in the theaters an extra time.
You get an extra showing.
Yeah, an extra showing. Thank you. So you can kind of play with that and get more money that way. Also, I have seen every trailer for this movie. They have an 8-minute compilation on YouTube. I have seen every trailer twice a day for the past month.
I also think it would be kind of funny if even in the next 2 movies or whatever, they got to save Peach again. And it's like, they killed Kenny again. It's just to keep they took Peach again. We got to go save her again.
I don't think they're ever going to take Peach, though. I think that they're past that, the save the princess thing. Sure. I do think that we're going to get a Luigi's Haunted Mansion, maybe. Mm-hmm. We're going to get maybe something that makes fun of Mario 2, Doki Doki Panic. Maybe do a full Mario Kart movie. Who knows?
But again, that's because it's 90 minutes. I'm sure they're going to dip their toes in a lot of Mario.
They're going to tease a bunch of stuff.
Yeah. And then in future movies, you can dive
also,
into
and
that.
they might have already greenlit this. This might spin off into Donkey Kong movies, everything else and the like.
Right. Definitely a possibility.
Zelda?
Mm-hmm.
I know they own the rights to that, right?
Sure.
I don't think Illumination does, though. But keep it all with Illumination. Illumination is fun. Modern day Looney Tunes. Get that woke, broke Pixar out of my face.
Get them out.
You know the old saying, you go woke, you go broke. So they ain't got no money to make movies no more. News dump.